Mr. Nana Patole, who's the chief of the Maharashtra Congress, he basically said this. Akshay Kumar, Amitabh Bachchan tweeted about fuel price when it was Manmohan Singh government. Why don't they tweet now? I challenge them. Want you to make your stance clear on the unfair practices of the Modi government. And then he threatens that if you don't do this, we won't allow you, we won't let you shoot or release movies otherwise. Now, if a person or a celebrity is not speaking, why should a member of a government, he is part of the government in Maharashtra, why should he threaten that movies will not be allowed? But having said that, keeping this aside, what was the position of these celebrities back in the UPA regime and now? So you've got Akshay Kumar, who tweeted, couldn't even get to my house at night, for all of Mumbai was queuing up for petrol before prices rocketed again. Now this tweet was, if I can gather, I think this was on the 16th of May 2011, right? And now a big question mark. He hasn't spoken so far. Let's look at the next tweet. Amitabh Bachchan, petrol up 7.5, pump attendant, kitne ka dalu, Mumbaikar, 2-4 rupees ka dal do, car pe spray kar do, jalana hai, right? Of course, it's fine. It's important to talk about this. But what is the superstar saying now? Nothing. Many other comments also, like Anupam Kher, he spoke about it when the UPA 2 was in power. No comments as of this moment. And this list just goes on and on. You've got Akshay Kumar again, a tweet that was deleted later, but he said, guys, it's time to clean up your bicycles and hit the road, as per sources expecting another petrol hike. No comment so far. So these comments go on and on. Rajat Sethi as well as Shama Mohammed now join us for a discussion on this. Many people would call this, Rajat, double standards of celebrities, but again, you're no spokesperson from them. It will be unfair on my part to ask you to comment on their not commenting. But the point is, don't you think that there is an alarming amount of silence from the government, from people at large, from influencers, people who want to tweet for India being together, which they must, should also be representing the voice of the people when petrol is touching 100? It's crazy.
Well, Sanket, there are so many layers to this. We also understand that why is the price what it is today. We know that
taxes, yes,
collection for the country has been muted for the past 1 year due to COVID circumstances. And at the end of the day, for the government to function, for the state governments to function, they all need to have their share of revenue being collected from one source.
Why doesn't the government be honest? Rajat, the government should come out and say, listen, we have suffered a lot of losses. We are going to tax you extensively, 60-65% tax on petrol. Please bear with us. It's for your own good. Have this honesty.
Sanket ji, ideally speaking, when the prices are out and it's into a regime where every day the prices fluctuate, there has been some recent increase in even the dollar rates of crude oil. We all understand that, and the government also understands that. And even, by the way, even the Congress-ruled state governments also understand that, because they are the ones who are imposing VAT. So minus the politics, the plain economics of it is that, yes, all of these extra added duties adds burden on the common people. But also remember that all of this tax collection aggregation is important for ultimate goal of the government.
No, I agree with you. But is this the way to go for your, to correct your fiscal deficit? Shama Mohammed is also with us. Shama, how would you respond to that point of celebrities not speaking now? That's one. Secondly, when the Congress party says we won't allow films to be released or shooting to happen, that's a bit much. They're not speaking, you can question their double standards. But not allow films to be released, what is this?
Let me explain to you. First and foremost, I think these actors have become spineless. They talk on one side when they said, we had to take cycles before 2014. Now both of them have shut their mouth, and somebody such as Amitabh Bachchan, who's a very strong influencer for the youth. I mean, even now, he is admired and revered by a lot of Indians. So he should definitely come out. And Akshay Kumar too, who is revered by Indians. He should come out and tell the truth.
Yeah, but then why ban their movies?
I'm coming to that, Sanket. You don't have patience, my dear. Number two, he came out and said later on, he said that, that was not what was intended. Hum virod karenge. That is what he said. We're going to oppose what they do, this sort of thing, what they do, but not ban their movies. So that he has corrected himself. Now, let me just speak on what Rajat said. He said, what, due to this COVID crisis, people will understand. Last year, the excise duty was 19.98 for petrol, and for diesel was 15.23, which has jumped up now to 33 and 32 respectively, petrol and diesel. Can you understand one thing? He said it's because of COVID. Now, let's understand the other aspect of COVID. People do not have work. People are suffering. And that's when the government increases the excise duty when we have deregulated petrol after 2010. So when you mean by deregulation is when the petrol prices go up, the consumer's price goes up. When the petrol prices go down, the consumer price goes down. Now, to what he said that because of COVID, all the governments have suffered and, we didn't get revenue, I want to ask him, in 2015, when the petrol price hit nearly $30 and $50 a barrel, why was the petrol, for us, oil prices, we were still paying 71, 75, 79, how it fluctuated. That is something which the government of, they don't have an answer. What happened to that revenue of 20 lakh crore? We want the white paper? No. Before 2014, up to 2010, it was regulated. After 2010, it was deregulated. When it was deregulated, let me tell you, Sanket, in 2011, the petrol price was $104 a barrel. And we were paying 51 here. Look at how the Congress government supported the people. And in 2014, before they just came, it was $108 a barrel.
Let me get in a response. Rajat,
Rajat,
it is true that the crude oil price per barrel is low. It is certainly not what it was in 2013. This is a fact. So all of what you see increasing right now are taxes, massive, massive taxes.
No, Sanketji,
is this the right time to tax people so heavily?
What about, ask him about 2015. Why did the government not reduce the price
let him answer.
What are they doing with this revenue?
But he would only be able to answer,
That's what you're doing.
Rajat's answer.
Allow me to please and explain. See, Congress has this my bap hangover which carries on even till this date. They believe that, we were the ones who ensured that the price, even when it was $100 thing, we ensured it is 50 rupees. Ma'am, you would be aware as to how much amount of these subsidies were actually paid by the taxpayers. It is not like you were printing notes in your personal factories.
Can I come in?
Remember that difference, number one. Number two, we also know that we moved out of the regime when there were heavy amount of subsidies and which were fiscally unsustainable. Those subsidies on petrol and diesel
were also going from the taxpayers' money.
Wouldn't have supported.
No, but the point is, Rajat, the larger question is that the burden is now. The burden is now. Petrol is touching 100. The burden is now. The man on the street is without a job, and this is additional burden.
Fair enough, Sanketji. I agree with that, and I think the government should look into it and try and give a breather for the common people. But should this be the way, or there should be alternate ways? One has to look into.
This very government has led by example. They led with a tax cut. I remember in Modi, the first tenure, petrol and diesel had a 5 rupee cut. The centre did it. Why can't the centre do it now? Shama Mohammed, do you think that's the way to go forward? And also, Congress governments must lead by example in the state. Why don't you lead by example? Cut it in Maharashtra, Punjab, Rajasthan.
Can I comment on that? See, always the central government, first of all, wasn't giving the GST. You know the issue, what happened. States are also dry, with revenue. Because
that's the centre's logic also.
Let me come into that. Centre has definitely other revenues more than the state. But let me listen to this. Sanket, he has never explained in 2015 why did the taxes go up so high? And then, what we did to subsidize, he said about taxes, we issued oil bonds, which were worth 1.44 lakh crores, which they come out and say, they come out on their Twitter handle saying that they are the ones who paid the oil bonds, when in the Rajya Sabha, their own minister says it was only 3,500 crores, just like we Bachchan issued oil bonds in 2002, 2003.
Okay, oil bonds is an issue for which we need so much time to discuss.
No, what I'm trying to say is that's how we subsidize it. He was saying that, subsidies paid.
I'm just tell you what, for fairness in this debate.
Right now, it is horrendous to increase it so high.
The point is, there has to be time out, hard stop on this discussion because I've run out of time. But Shama Mohammed as well as Rajat Sethi, thank you. The point is that this is not the time to impose such heavy taxes simply because you want your fiscal deficit to be corrected. That's not the time. It's almost like Teen Guna Lagan. That's the sort of influence it is happening on the ground. Do we want to do that to our people? What really should the government do? You decide. And certainly, blaming film stars, yes, they spoke up then and they've not spoken up now. I don't know, whatever their reason may be. But the real people who can offer solutions are those sitting in power, not actors. That's all the time we have in this edition of Trending Tonight. News continues on the other side. Stay with us.